Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another show, for another episode of our Raw Reactions, basically the series in which we react to the latest Arsenal news. And it is a big day for Arsenal because our quarter-final draw, we have seen all three English sides. No, hold on a second. No, we haven't seen all three English sides go through because Spurs did a Spurs and it was beautiful. We're going to have a talk about that. We're going to have a talk about the draw and we're going to, of course, react to it live. So let's crack on with it. Hello, people. Hope you are well. I'm joined by a couple and soon to be three of our expert members. First of all, it's Lewis back again. How you doing, mate? You well?
I'm good. Very happy after last night, to be fair. More so with the Spurs result than our own performance, but happy days.
Yes, happy days, mate. Happy days indeed. And we're looking forward to seeing, hopefully, who Dinamo Zagreb get as well after they did us a pretty big favour. Although I think a lot of people we want to see kind of us avoid them. Simon, are you looking to avoid Dinamo Zagreb in the draw?
Yeah, definitely. You can't really argue against sort of having or avoiding them in the draw because, I think they're absolutely flying at the moment. Especially the fella that scored the hat trick. Let's try and avoid them as much as possible.
Yeah, 100%. And of course, a massive welcome to you, Simon. This is your debut show, so no pressure, mate. But, so hopefully it's a good one and we can get a nice, comfortable draw for ourselves. Hello, everyone in the chat box. Good to have you in here today, reacting live with us to the quarterfinal of the Europa League draw. Let's see what some of you guys are saying. Yo says, hopefully this will be the last season for a while that Arsenal have to play in this godforsaken tournament. Sanchester says, we ask our players to fear no one, so we should also fear no one. But if you saw us how we played last night, Sam, I'm not sure that's currently the case. Zamir says, Ajax and Man United, Villarreal, Roma, best case scenario, if we can get, of course, one of Slavia Prague, Dinamo and Granada, of course, as well, to get some of those big sides playing each other, of course. I mean, it's an interesting one, Lewis, because I think that arguably, if we do get the worst case scenario and we get drawn against Man United, you then have the opportunity to arguably knock it. Oh, Lewis has had enough of us. We're running out of members as we speak. Hopefully, someone can go back into it. Simon, I'm going to ask you, Simon.
I'll take the question on.
If we do draw Man United, you've obviously got a case whereby you've got obviously the biggest other big side in the competition, but you play them across two legs. You've got two opportunities. We've got a really good record against them this season. We've managed to beat them and draw against them as well. If you knock them out, arguably that makes it comfortable for you not comfortable, but a much simpler process. So would a Man United draw actually bother you in too much of the sense of the word?
There are a couple of reasons why I just don't want to have Man United, especially, I'll give you the first one. I think just from an aesthetic point of view, I just don't like it when two domestic clubs face off against each other in Europe. I don't know why. I just don't think it's that special. It sort of takes away the gloss of a special European tie. So I just don't really want to see that happen for that reason. And the league table, the Premier League table doesn't lie. Man United are a better team than us currently. So that's just another reason why I don't really want to face off Man United. Although I might be wrong in saying this, I don't think Solskjaer has beaten Arteta as Arsenal manager yet. So he might have done in the FA Cup. I'm not entirely sure. But I actually, I would sort of back our chances in that regard. But you never know with cup football. It's just one of those things. But I think Man United are the team that I'd like to avoid the most, and then the rest of the teams in there, I think we've got a chance against all of them.
Yeah, 100%. Matt Thornton says, don't care who we get. Going to have to beat them to win it regardless. Dan says, hoping we get a good semi-final draw today as well. Of course, we will be reacting to the fact that we are going to see, of course, who we would get in terms of the routes. We've just watched the Champions League draw, and there's some interesting ties in that. We won't be talking about it, of course, because we're salty. And that's simply the reason for that. Lewis, I'm going to ask the question. Out of all the teams in the draw, you've got the choice between Ajax, Dinamo Zagreb, Granada, Man United, Roma, Slavia Prague, and Villarreal. For you, who is the one to avoid most of all, and who is the one that you want most of all?
I think contrary to Simon, I'd want Dynamo. I think this Arteta is not about complacency, and I think over 2 legs we'd be good. I would still want to avoid Man U, not because, I mean, look, I think Arteta's got his number, but I was saying to my dad the other day, that season when we went invincible, we end up facing Chelsea 5 times that year and got knocked out in the Champions League with that Wayne Bridge goal. We've done the double over him in the league, beat him in the FA Cup, got a draw, I think, at Stamford Bridge, but then lost at Highbury. So playing United again, it's got to go their way one time. So that's why I'd want to avoid them.
Yep, no, fair enough. And who is it that you want? You said Dinamo, didn't you? Is that actually down to the fact that if we beat them, it's funny because obviously Spurs managed to get knocked out by them?
Yeah, there's an element of that, but they are apparently 66-1 outsiders to win it. I mean,
wow.
I'm not saying, look, you can't not respect European competition, especially that, look, they knocked out Spurs. As much as we hate to say it, Spurs have good players and evidently nullified them on the night. You can blame Spurs being Spursy, but they need to be respected. But respecting our application, we should get through.
Simon, obviously there is another interesting team in the tournament with a little bit of narrative to it as well, which is Villarreal, managed by our former coach Unai Emery. How would you feel about facing off against him and the narrative that would go with that tie?
Oh, I don't know. It's something about that tie that just sort of puts me off. I don't really want that to happen. And it's almost like the sort of old player, old manager coming back to haunt us. I really hope we avoid that one. But if you sort of look at it on the surface as well, I do think we have enough to sort of beat them. It's one of those, I'd say sort of 60% don't want it to happen, 40% I'll be confident to take them on.
It's an interesting draw overall. I mean, we're going to have a look at some of the teams, of course, that are currently available for us to play. If I can just get up the right one on the screen, making sure we've got no copyright issues, playing the sudden draw all of a sudden. But obviously, we've got Ajax, Arsenal, ourselves, Dinamo Zagreb, Granada, Man United, Roma and Slavia Prague and Villarreal. We've talked a little bit about United, Dinamo and Villarreal. Slavia Prague's another interesting one, Lewis, because obviously they knocked out Rangers and they knocked out Leicester City prior to that as well. They're no mugs. We've seen some good players come from Slavia Prague to the Premier League as well, because we've, of course, seen Kufal and Thomas Souček both join West Ham from them. So would they be a side that would concern you?
Look, I think anyone that, gets to the quarters is, concerning in and of themselves. And as you say, they're no mugs knocking out Leicester, to be fair. And they're, we were very happy to beat Leicester because first time in 5 years we beat somebody in the top 3. So you'd give them the respect that they're due, but you would have to say player for player. And Arteta's decent at navigating through ties. I know he lost to Olympiacos last year, but you'd still fancy weaker opposition compared to the likes of Roma and Villarreal and Man U.
Fair enough. Right, we are now at the position where the guy that we know to be the UEFA draw man is on our screen, and he's talking to us about something, because we've muted it for obvious reasons, so we don't know what he's talking about. But usually this kind of build-up that no one really cares about, and hopefully we're going to see them doing the draw very, very soon. They're going to pull out, I imagine, some Europa League legend to come and pull the balls out with him. But as soon as that happens, of course, we'll keep you up to date with it as soon as possible, getting our reactions. One of the sides, Simon, that obviously a lot of people would like to see maybe us draw against is Granada. Spanish side, 8th in La Liga, managed to knock out Molde, of course, we had in our group and beat comfortably in both legs. And they actually, I think, did they lose or they drew or lost one of those legs in the last round? So would that be a tie that you would very much like to see Arsenal get?
I think so. Yeah, I think if you sort of compare all of the teams in that hat, I think Granada would probably be sort of towards the lower end of that and towards the sort of side of where we've got the most chances of beating them. So, yeah, I would sort of say Granada would fill me with a lot of hope if we were to sort of draw them in the tie. But, I don't know. It's that I suppose there's an argument for all of those potential teams if we were to sort of draw against them. We have to sort of look at it, and each and every one of those teams can sort of pose a bit of a threat. So I think that's mostly down to Arsenal. I think somebody said in the Discord that as long as we don't draw Arsenal, we'll be all right because we can be our own worst enemies. So let's sort of see from that point of view.
Ironically, when I said legend that's come out to present it, it turns out it's Gael Clichy of anyone that's coming out to draw the balls. I'm going to bring you back in again, Simon, because you live in Holland, and one of the other teams in the draw, of course, is Dutch side in Ajax. Mm-hmm. What did you make of them and not being in the Champions League last season, or 2 seasons ago, where they did really well and got to the semi-finals, were very unfortunate not to make the final. Having now lost the likes of De Ligt, De Jong, Van der Beek, how do you make of them? And obviously they will be without Sebastian Haller, of course, without that silly kind of technical thing which cost them his inclusion.
They'll also be without Andre Onana as well. So that would...
Yes, he's banned, isn't he?
Yeah, for taking his wife's medication. We can get into that on a different story. But yeah, it's... I think, like you said, if you take away the sort of 4 wonder stars that they had, like Ziyech, De Jong, De Ligt, and Donny van der Beek, and then you take away Haller and Onana as well, they're not that sort of dangerous unit that we were sort of used to seeing, especially the last couple of years when they had that great run in the Champions League. So I think... yeah, it gives me a bit of hope sort of taking them on. However, I do like Erik ten Hag. I think he's a great manager. And I do worry as well with the sort of style of play that Ten Hag gets Ajax playing. I think they would sort of smell a lot of blood, especially when we're sort of trying to play it out from the back and so on. I think they'll press the hell out of us. And that gives me a little bit of fear. But I'd like to see us play Ajax. I like Ajax as a team. I think it would be a great tie. But I think we'd fare quite well against them as well.
Final question before the draw gets underway, Lewis, and there's one more team we've got to talk about with another narrative, of course, and that's Roma with the high-flying Henrik Mkhitaryan in their attack. It would be very Arsenal to, of course, see him come to the Emirates and just do us over, basically. So what do you feel about a draw with Roma?
Yeah, that is another one I'm actually genuinely worried about, the Mkhitaryan narrative, because you remember when we actually got through to the final, he was really poor in Emery's team in the league, but I remember him being very effective in sort of all the Europa League games. And then because it was held in Baku, he couldn't play basically.
Yeah.
And I think we missed him because he was on a really good run of form. So it would just be so Arsenal if we paid him to leave and he ends up doing us in, to be fair. That would just be, that's one I would, God, that's really horrible, to be fair.
So we are, of course, now seconds away, seemingly, from the draw. Someone's fire alarm's going on. Lewis has just decided to spontaneously burst into flames, it seems, ahead of the draw. I'm sorry, he's going to sort that out. How this is going to work, of course, as the draw goes through, it is done quite quickly. So there isn't going to be too much time to get people's thoughts until afterwards. So we'll go through it. I'll get some very brief thoughts from you guys as we do go through some of them. And, of course, we'll save some of the broader analysis until after the draw is completed. If you are watching the stream live in the chat box, please make sure you drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you are new to the channel, we do live reactions straight after the game. And to join us for the draw is Ryan. He's finally made it back into the show. How you doing, man?
I'm not even joking yet. Lewis, come on. My whole computer just went into meltdown mode then. Tried to click on the other link. It just went.
We are now in the draw, Ryan. So
I am literally watching it at the same time.
Granada has just been brought out as the first team. So we'll see who they're going to face, and we'll get a very brief reaction for that draw from you in a second, Ryan. But Clichy has got his hand in the bowl. He's about to reveal who Granada will face. It's probably going to be Man United. Let's be real. He's showing it, and it is Manchester United. So there you go. Oh, dearie me. Ryan, what do we make of that, fella?
It's just typical, isn't it? I just want an easy route for once, to be honest. We just never seem to do anything the easy way. But listen, they had a fairly tough game, didn't they, yesterday? So they're probably being chuffed with that, aren't they? So let's see what happens with us.
Yeah, fingers crossed. We're seeing the next ball, being drawn out now.
Hey, we were shocked yesterday by the results.
It is Arsenal. It is Arsenal, so we will now see who we have got. We've got plenty of teams, of course, we can face. We obviously, that does mean we're not playing United, so there is that element to it as well, you have to remember. Roma's still there, of course. We've got some other big sides like Ajax. We've got Villarreal. We want to see maybe a Dinamo, which would be ironic after Spurs, of course, played against them. We might want to see an Ajax, or maybe, who is it going to be? It's Slavia Prague. That's not a bad tie. That's not too bad, but they are no mugs. Simon, what's your immediate reaction to that, mate?
Yeah, quite happy with it. I think Abdullah Seema, is that his name? I think he's a player to be a little bit wary of. But I think overall, yeah, I'm quite happy with that, to be honest, mate.
Lewis, how do you make of that fella?
I'm pretty happy with that, to be fair. I mean, look, if you'd have said, it would have been one of the three that I would have taken, to be perfectly honest. So that's pretty good, especially after Granada getting drawn against United straight up.
Yeah. We're just seeing Ajax now get their draw. We're just going to get some information up about Slavia Prague and give you some key facts. Ajax are going to be going up against Roma, so that's a really good tie for us because that drops out one of the other two big teams in the tournament. Very, very interesting. What I will say is, while Slavia Prague came out, I don't know if you guys saw the interview of Steven Gerrard last night, but Glenn Kamara is actually a former Arsenal player, was supposedly racially abused by one of the Slavia Prague players, which of course we see as an absolutely unacceptable form of behaviour in football that needs to be. So there'll be some fallout from that, I imagine. Dinamo is now being drawn out. Ryan, I'm going to get your thoughts on the Arsenal draw in just a second after this draw has been completed. Dinamo, of course, who beat Tottenham Hotspur in the last round rather hilariously. And I don't know if you've seen this, but Joe Hart even tweeted out or Instagrammed out that they'd job done after the game, which was brilliant. With his social side of things not going too well. So Dinamo Zagreb will be up against Villarreal. Unai Emery's Villarreal is going to be playing Dinamo Zagreb. It's a very nice and interesting tie. That's one more tie. Is that all of the ties? I think that's all of them done. That is completing it. So very quickly, Ryan, before we go through all of the draws, what do you make of Arsenal against Slavia?
Well, in fairness, Tom, I would have said happy with that. But then, judging by that performance that we just pulled out yesterday, let's just hope we turn up this time. Let's just hope we all just turn up. Let's hope Abba's in a very, very good mood because you've got to treat him with a lot of respect. You've got to caress him into actually wanting to play the game.
Yeah.
And let's just hope we're there, to be honest. We can't come out with that attitude yesterday. Can't do it. I can't physically sit through that again.
Let's have a quick peek at some of the statistics from Slavia Prague this season, and then we'll get some more in-depth thoughts. Of course, we've still got to find out who we will be playing if we manage to get through in the semi-final. That's about to take place. So we'll just pause on the statistics to find out who we are, of course, going to be playing in the semi-final should we manage to get through. We're hoping to stay clear of Man United as much as possible and hopefully see a reach the final. So the winner of quarterfinal 3, which I think was not us, that was Ajax and Roma. I believe that was the third one to be drawn out. So that would be Ajax. So Man United against Ajax versus Roma. That's perfect for Arsenal, actually. So that's a really good system for us. That means we'll go up against the winners of... who's the other one that we've drawn out against? It was... Villarreal, ironically. So Unai Emery's Villarreal against Dinamo Zagreb. So that's a really interesting one. Simon, what do you make of that possibility that we could be up against Unai Emery in the semi-final should we get through?
Yeah, I think I was saying about it before that there's something about it that kind of puts me off a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. In a way, I'm quite happy that that sort of route to the final isn't as difficult as it possibly could be, and I think we're avoiding Man United on the way to getting there. So yeah, quite happy with it. I can sort of see an Arsenal Man United final. I know I'm getting really far ahead of myself there, so I apologise for that. But yeah, I can see that being a decent final. Although I did say earlier, I'm probably contradicting myself here, that I don't really like it when two clubs from the same sort of domestic league face off against each other. I'd still be quite happy with an Arsenal United final.
Very true. Lewis, what do you make of the possibility, of course, seeing Man United in the final if both teams manage to get all the way through? I think that's probably the best result for Arsenal we could have got, arguably, from the draw. Lewis, you're muted, mate. You're muted. You're going to have to unmute yourself.
Sorry there. What with my fire alarm going off and everything, I thought I just smarter to mute myself. Yeah. I mean, I suppose you could maybe make an argument to say that, United never get past the semi-final anyway, to be fair. So maybe it'd have been getting there. Look, if you have to beat the best to be the best, don't you, to be fair? And I think over 2 legs, I do fancy Arteta. I think he'll have the better of Emery. And hopefully all the Emery back in brigade will be silenced, and then we can move on, crack on with next season if he gets to the final.
Of course. Let's get the full draw up on the screen so you guys can, of course, see it. You should be able to see it now. So we've got Granada against Manchester United. Going to turn the TV off. Arsenal against Slavia Prague. Ajax against Roma. And Dinamo Zagreb against Villarreal. Annoyingly, they've not put that in the order of in which way it would go through to the semi-finals. So it's alternated. So Granada and Man United, the winner of that will play against the winner of Ajax and Roma. This arguably... If you were going to say of the 3 teams we could have wanted to play against, it probably would have been Granada, Slavia Prague, and Dinamo Zagreb. We've managed to keep one of those, and then through to the next, into the semi-finals, we've managed to avoid both of Roma and Ajax in the best possible way. So, Ryan, I think it's worked out pretty well for us, has it not?
God, I just left you completely. Then. Yeah, I would say it's not bad, is it? It's looking all right. I've just looked at their league, and they haven't actually lost in their league, but obviously being their league, yeah, I'd say this has gone well, isn't it? This is what I would have said out of all of them. This is what I would have wanted. Rangers did well to get as far as they got, I would say. So coming up against an opponent like they just had yesterday, I reckon Slavia would have done them regardless. So I'm just going to say, fingers crossed. I think we could have this, boys. I think this is looking good.
It's the confidence. The confidence is coming through. Simon, let's get your final thoughts on the overall draw then.
Yeah, just pretty pleased with it, to be honest. Like I was saying at the top of it, I would have been really gutted if we'd have drawn United. So yeah, really happy, and I'm starting to feel Ryan's confidence as well. I don't know, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. I know I was talking about the final earlier, but I'm feeling pretty confident about it all.
Good stuff, Lewis.
Yeah, I'm feeling confident that we'll at least get through to this semis. Likely going to play Villarreal, which is going to be a tough game, but one I'm confident that Arteta can navigate. But yeah, let's learn from Spurs and don't get complacent. Get through this leg.
Yeah, 100%. And final thoughts from you, Ryan?
I mean, it was always going to be inevitable that we was going to face Emery at some point, wasn't it? And I mean, if fingers crossed, if that is the way that we get to the final, beating teams, beating previous people and proving a lot of people wrong on the way, I'm happy with that. I'll take that all day long.
Yeah, 100%. It's been an absolute pleasure, Chatbox, to see you in here and watching the show. This isn't the only show of the day. Of course, it is Friday, which means we've got our typical 5 p.m. Let's Talk Arsenal show. So make sure you tune in for that. We'll be revealing which one of our expert members and TGT ambassadors has won the free entry into the signed Thomas Partey shirt giveaway this week. Of course, if you want to get tickets for the signed Thomas Partey shirt, let me just check if there actually is still any available from Football Prizes. Link is in the description for Football Prizes website. I'm just going to throw that quickly up if my internet decides to work. Here we go. There is still tickets available, but I think there is literally in the single digits now. There is 2 tickets left. So if you would like a ticket for the Thomas Partey signed shirt, there are only 2 left in the description. Of course, members, expert members, CGT ambassadors in the Discord server. If you haven't yet put your number in to be selected, make sure you do that, and I'll be revealing which one of you guys has won that free entry. I myself have even bought 3 tickets for this week's draw. I want that Thomas Partey shirt. I could not sit back and relax for this prize. It is too good. It's been an absolute pleasure to have some fantastic debutants, and of course, Lewis rejoining us. Lewis, thank you again, mate. Really appreciate your time, fella.
No problem. Pleasure to be on as always.
100%, mate. I can't even speak now. I'm sure we will see you back again very, very soon. You can find Lewis in the Discord server. Although, is there news on a Twitter account being opened yet, Lewis?
Not yet, not yet. Although I will say this, me and my brother tried doing a random Only Fools and Horses YouTube channel.
Wow, that is very niche.
We've got we have 2 episodes out for any UK listeners, Only Bros and Banter. But yeah, something very. We'll see if I get Twitter up and running in a week or 2's time.
I saw Simon giving you a bit of this, so I'm thinking the advice is solidly stay away from it as much as feasibly possible. Yeah. Speaking of which, Simon, fantastic debut, mate. And while you're here, of course, we can plug, and I'm going to leave a link to it in the description. I did join you on your side of things, and we had a big, long chat about, funnily enough, Thomas Partey, and it was an absolute pleasure to speak to you, mate.
Yeah, no, thanks very much for having me on. Really glad to be making my my TGT debut, and it's been fantastic. And yeah, you can find me at the vfeqfo, and Triple F show is it's just all about football, talking about fun, exciting football things in a general sort of way as much as possible.
100%, absolute pleasure. And finally, it took him a little bit of time to get into the stream, but when he did, he absolutely smashed it. Ryan, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, it was short but sweet, but Lewis did completely break my computer down as soon as I clicked on that second
We don't know
link,
how that happened.
Well, I literally clicked the link, boom. There you go. Yeah, no, it's been great. It's been great. Thanks for having me. Hopefully,
awesome.
hopefully a bit longer next time.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have you back for another show, and you have much longer to talk about stuff for a preview. And now we know you can do it, so there's no excuses, son. There's no excuses. Absolute pleasure, guys. Absolute pleasure in the chat as well. I'll see you at 5 p.m. UK time, so in just over 4.5 hours time, we'll be back here talking about Arsenal, different topics. I'm sure we'll have a lot more to break down regarding the Europa League draw and some reaction to that. I'm not sure when Arteta's press conference is, but I imagine it's very soon ahead of the West Ham game, so there'll be some reaction to that as well. We'll see you at 5 p.m. It's been an absolute pleasure as always, and as always, up the Arsenal.